and the intro to the show, and then you and I will talk when I'm done with that.
Okay.
So you just get to look awkward and embarrassed or whatever.
Okay.
This should be live any second. Live streamed on Facebook and on YouTube now. Hi, everybody. This is Comic Spot. I'm your girl, Linda Marcus Smith, the Meshuggah lady that has done 1,047 comedy interviews now. And today I have another one for you. So you can get to know Jeffrey Weinstein over there and see if you like him and want to support his comedy as well. But first, I just want to give a little shout out to myself. Anytime any of you who are watching want to help me with my cost of doing the interviews and doing the Zoom comedy shows, feel free to put $1 donation into my Venmo, which is Linda, Linda Smith 400. So I would appreciate that. Any amount will not get laughed at, I promise you. So having said my PSA, let me go into the intro that Jeffrey Weinstein gave to me to say. Let's see if I can get through this without making any mistakes. He says about himself, born and raised in Montreal. For you young people, that's Canada. One just above us. Found my talent for stand-up 4 years ago, although I did have aspirations of being a comedian many years before. My solution to an old life crisis was to start doing open mics. I have produced a few shows and hosted a few. I will be hosting a benefit show on July 29th in Montreal. Let's see how we can help him with that. My style is sassy, irreverent, carefree, and subliminal. Welcome to the stage on Comic Spot right now, Jeffrey Weinstein. Woo! Listen to the audience go crazy. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Jeffrey. Tell us what
Thank
it's
you,
like.
Helen.
Tell us what it's like during a pandemic in Montreal and post-pandemic. Let's just start there as a little opener. What's it been like?
Well, it was during the pandemic and the shutdowns of all comedy venues. It was a big adjustment to be made. In a sense, it was frustrating. It was my live stand-up comedy was put on hold, was aborted. I felt like I was aborted as a comedian in terms of live performance. So, but I decided, well, I could start my own online shows and host my own online shows and participate in other people's Zoom shows. And in the process, I might meet a lot of interesting people that I like, which I did, which I'm very glad I did. And I'm very grateful for meeting other very talented and wonderful comedians such as yourself, and from various parts of the US as well as Canada, which looking back on it, I would not have had that opportunity otherwise. There would just been no space for that, no opportunities for me to do that, to create, to use these various platforms, and also post it on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. It automatically ran to my Facebook page from my streaming platform. So it was great, and even well, one of them actually. One of them, there's for example, like there's a comedian from Detroit who comes in every summer. In fact, I just met him last night at a show, and I involved him in one of my shows, one of my podcast shows, and so he keeps a connection between with Montreal, between Detroit and Montreal. Now he's traveling all over the place. So, and also another comedian who left here, went to California, came back here, then went back. So I've had the opportunity of meeting some really successful, talented comedians. I mean, successful in their own right. And I had a lot of fun doing it, but I was very glad also to get back to the live shows.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. What's it like doing comedy in Montreal? Isn't that where Just for Laughs is at?
Yeah, it's going on right now, Just for Laughs, until the 29th. And yeah, a lot of shows, lots going on. And
Do you personally go to it and watch or volunteer or get spots, or what's the deal with that for
I
you?
haven't been, I may go to, before the end of the festival, I may go to a couple of shows. To get spots, you have to be showcased and they have to be selected by a booker from Just for Laughs organization. And they're very, very picky on who they pick. And some very talented, funny comedians who don't get in. They don't. And they're okay with that. I mean,
Yes.
but there's a slant, there's LGBTQ woke comedy slant to it. They're looking for, because they're always looking for a certain genre of comedians type, it's like Hollywood. This is like the Hollywood of Montreal comedy type of thing. So and I just have to be myself. It's people who are outside the comedy community don't really understand how it works in Montreal comedy, and don't really, they have different ideas, some very naive perspectives. So it's not really the end all and be all of your comedy life, your comedy career. It's the end all and be all is going up on stage, making people laugh. I mean, that's basically the purpose of comedian.
Yeah. I recently, in fact, yesterday was told I wasn't right for a certain room. And I was trying to communicate to the booker that I wanted him to take a second look at that. And he did not take kindly to that. So when you get told in Montreal that you as a male aren't right for a certain room, do you just move on and don't challenge it? Or if you feel like
I've never been told that. I've never put myself in that scenario or situation where I would even possibly be told that. So, I mean, it's not in this context, not really relevant to me. I've been told that very subtly, in other words, like in the beginning, in the early parts of early times of me doing stand-up, that I'm not ready for certain shows, or subtly implying I'm not good enough or funny enough, or but I've been through that. And okay, so you really, honestly, you have to roll with the punches. You really have to roll with the punches, because you're in a performance type. You're in a performance industry. It's the arts.
Yes, absolutely.
And everybody wants to do it. They love doing it. But I mean, you really have to know how to roll with the punches.
Yes, you do.
Otherwise, it's not for you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about little Jeffrey Weinstein. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I know some of the people that don't know German or haven't been around a lot of Jewish names might say Weinstein, but I know from German that it's Weinstein.
Yeah.
Right?
Stein is actually the old pronunciation of the name from, we're going back to the 18th century, but then it changed, then the pronunciation.
Yes. Changed. So you go by Weinstein.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So growing up as a little 5-year-old in your household, a little 6-year-old in school, tell us what you were like at home and at grade school and high school, please.
I was terrified of school when I was 5 years old. First day going to a kindergarten class. It was a half French, half English school, Catholic school, and a lot of the kids most of the kids were Catholic, from Catholic families, and I didn't want to get off the bus. I was afraid. We went. It was a little schoolhouse, little white schoolhouse. I was afraid because it looked like my parents were giving me away to strangers. Like parents were giving me away to strangers. They were banning me. I was terrified. I didn't want to get off the bus. The bus driver had to pick me up and carry me off the bus. Just carry me off the bus. And I went in almost like kicking and screaming, and I didn't know what was going on. You know, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2 to a certain extent, and I thought it was like I didn't understand it. You know, kindergarten, like play, like be a tree. I would play. I'm playing a tree, like, you know, and I felt so lost and alienated. You know?
Yeah. You didn't really have a Catholic name.
And I was picked on. I was picked on. I was cross-eyed kid, so I was picked on by the other kids, and I was picked on and bullied, and I got bullied and beaten up by a Catholic kid in my neighborhood. It was horrible. It was a terrifying experience.
Absolutely. So when did you start becoming funny? Because you're very funny and you got your unique brand all figured out and you're unapologetic for who you are, and that's who you are. So when did you start getting funny?
Well, I was well, when I was in my teens, I started like learning jokes and telling jokes. You know, is when my first interest in humor was like other people's jokes. And then after, like, when I was in my 20s, it started probably my late 20s, was I when I would lose my my son. It was like my friend would say, it's hilarious when when you blow up like, and like, and in my 30s especially, like, it really blossomed. I really started coming out around my mid 30s, and through my 40s and 50s, I in everything I did, I injected humor. I kept it light, and I like made people smile and laugh. I injected I used it as part of a tool, and no matter what I was doing, I injected humor into everything I was doing. So I felt it came naturally to me. It was something that ran in the family, my mother's side, and that's it until I decided after I was about turning 60. It says, okay, I, I'm emotionally coming out. I'm going through emotional changes, emotional transformation coming out, and I went through these meltdowns and these crises, and there's just, I was like really like these autistic meltdowns, and so I needed a platform. So I found comedy, stand up as a platform to express, tell stories of my life, make jokes about my family. Was like what was truth is like hilariously funny. These things actually happened to me and happened to my family. And then just using, doing bits and material about myself, and a lot of it around Asperger's, autism, and
You have Asperger's and autism?
I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed about 7 months ago, 7 or 8 months ago, with ASD on the spectrum, and I had to fight for that diagnosis. I had to wait and fight, really struggle to get a referral to a doctor that would diagnose me. So it was something you could say was well earned, and that's it. Like, okay, I was a shoe-in. I go in, and then, but be careful what you ask for. But he found some other kind of personality disorder, which is like, well, okay, that was an eye opener. Like,
Totally. I've got a psychological file about this big, so I get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I had history of medical treatments for anxiety, depression, and what we now call bipolar. I had a bit of that too, and I had that whole medical file there, and it was history of mental illness and on and off medications, and so that it was all because this going hand in hand with this Asperger's. Yeah.
So what's it like to have Asperger's from your point of view?
That I interpret and perceive the world on different levels than most people. I feel things more deeply than most people. And it's like the different sensibilities, rare sensibilities, like above average intelligence and acuities like that, and like you remember in the movie The World According to Garp, that was a movie in the early 1980s. Well, at the ending of the movie, I cried at the ending of the movie. I sat and bawled like a baby. I cried and cried because it was.
You know why?
I thought there was something in the movie, but I perceived that it was sad. It was really sad.
Got it. So
Yeah.
you have deep feelings.
Yeah. Like it's
Very
and we're
interesting.
still watching movies or anything very moving. I get all teary-eyed. I get it from my mother. My mother was very sensitive. She would cry for movies on TV. She would cry. You probably remember the old movie from the early 1970s, Madam X, or there was like I think it was late 60s, early 70s. I know I was really, really very, very young, and my mother cried in that movie. My mother.
Wow.
She cried. One of the first times I saw her cry, she cried in the movie. So yeah. As a whole, in the whole side of the family, my mother's side, the Gordons were like the Gordon family. It's crazy people, but they're very, very sensitive, very down to earth, very talented, very intelligent, and everybody give a shirt off her back, and everyone have a feeling for each other, for family, and feeling for other people in general is just extraordinary.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great information for some of us to hear about Asperger's in your life. It's great to get to know you a little bit because I've been with you on Zoom and different shows and mics. And like you said, that your comedy persona or your stage presence is, unapologetic and I'm not sure of the exact words here. Let me look here, read it back to you. Naturally, my phone doesn't want to work right this second. So you said that sassy, irreverent, carefree, and subliminal. Let's talk about those 4 aspects of you on stage. Sassy. Talk to me about sassy.
Just like being honestly, it's like honesty disguised as a joke, honesty disguised in a bit, or disguised in comedy or humorous material. The truth, the truth. I like talk about the like environmentalist movements and the environmental climate change movement, climate change protesters, what they were doing, that which I took issue with, and then like this whole the trans movement, transgender, and becoming a woman, and a man who's changed to a woman, who decided he's a woman, competing in women's Olympic swimming. I made a joke about that, which I call like, and I slipped that one time I can remember in a show. I slipped that in the end. It was like not everybody like got it right away. It was just it was subliminal because it was it was kind of like subtle, but it was like more like subliminal, saying, criticizing it or mocking it, and and it just. But a lot of the stuff, it goes over a lot of people's heads. A lot of stuff, it's like, maybe find mildly funny, but it goes over their heads. A lot of the stuff, that's it. The thing with Asperger's, you can have a lot of material. It's too sophisticated for average audience member to go over their heads. So, so I was working on just trying to keep it like plain and silly. My stuff, like my sets, like just keep it like very plain and silly and obviously ridiculous.
I know it's depressing trying to dumb stuff down so that the audience gets it.
Yeah, but not to go in such a like in a highbrow level of comedy type of thing,
Yeah. I got told that when I tell jokes that I hurt people's brains. So I tried dumbing it down. So that helps. But
and sometimes like it could be taken, it's like it's funny when they misinterpret a joke, they take it like the wrong way. Like I made a crack about Jeff Bezos making contribution to the environmentalist a movement, I mean.
yeah.
And I compared it to like me saying, okay, I'll give you, like addressing someone in the audience, I'll give you a quarter to contribute to your lack of sobriety, to your drunkenness, and then after the set, I'm walking away, this young girl, this very young lady at the bar, said, you were very funny. And she says, are you really a millionaire? Which is like really fun. Like, how did she get that idea? She took the joke completely, misunderstood it completely, took it out of context,
Wow.
Because I was like comparing myself to Jeff Bezos, but in a very like backward way.
Yeah, I get it. That's funny. What's the best compliment you ever got from anybody in your years of comedy?
There's so many. One that I could pick out one from a very experienced comedian who's been doing a long time, who's like funny, very well liked and popular. This young guy from Africa, and he says, "Oh, Jeffrey, I like the way you're so nonchalant."
That's great delivery for the topics you cover, to be nonchalant about it.
My style,
yeah, it works.
I saw at one point when I met him at an open mic, and I was talking to him after outside the club, and he was saying, "You're young," like he didn't like. It's just like his perception. I mean, he's reading my energy. The perception of my energy. He said, "Well, you're young," Then there was one open mic. I had to introduce him, so I said the next comedian coming up is a very funny guy. I like him very much especially since he said I was young, and and that's the way I introduced him. So, yeah, it's I know this one other comedian is older than me, a few years older than me. And like for her, it's like she's very active in the shows and everything. And like for her, like I feel it keeps her young. It keeps her energetic. It keeps you young. And that's her attitude. It's what keeps me young. It's what keeps me going. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is your goal in comedy and what is your goal in life?
Um, well, I want to uh, host more shows, produce some more shows, give more opportunities for comedians and especially older comedians to um, get up in front of audiences, to get stage time, and come out, which is very challenging because, like, I have a couple of friends who could probably do it, but they're blocked to do it. But it's like rare. There's a lot of talent of people over 60 or 65, even but no, I can't do that. I can't. Or a friend will say, yeah, I'm going to. You keep on procrastinating about, yeah, one of these days I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go to an open mic. But procrastinating really, there's too much like stage anxiety as far as that goes, and bring joy and happiness to people. I'm gonna have my first show at a retirement home that I'll be producing and hosting in the fall. And the person I'm headliner is that woman I was telling you about, older woman who's I could call it ageless comedian because it's like, wow, she'll always stay young. She'll always be young.
Does she bill herself as the ageless comedian?
No, I mean, this is how I perceive her. I mean, this would be a good branding for her. I could give her.
Because when I heard that, I was like, oh, I want to use that, but she's going to use that. But that's amazing branding.
Yeah, because that is it keeps you young. It's like, and people don't see age in comedy. There's almost virtually, if you're really, really into the vibe of comedy and the comedy community, there's no age. But but if you go, that's more on the light side. But you go more on the lower dark side, that is, and then there's like separations. Then there's like separations and divisions. It's no, I can't get into his vibe. And, there's that too. I mean, with a lot of comedians who take it so seriously and really take it too seriously and really struggling with it,
Yeah.
trying to all the way to the top. I mean, I laugh because it's like, okay, they're very young now. Just wait. You have no idea what's coming up. Just wait.
Absolutely.
Wait and see.
Absolutely. Tell people where you're going to be performing and where they can find you and support you on social media, please.
Yeah, well, I'm in Montreal. I perform at various venues. Tonight, actually, I'm going to be performing in a show tonight in Montreal on Crescent Street, and Monday night also downtown Montreal on Crescent Street. And I'll be hosting a benefit show. It's my first time hosting a benefit show.
On the 29th?
Yeah, on July 29th. Yeah, on Saint Laurent Boulevard. It's a benefit show to help a family who's it's the niece of the producer was in a tragic accident. She wound up in a coma, and the husband got severely injured, incapacitated. So raising money to help the family. Big fundraising campaign to help support the family. And yeah, then I'll be doing, then following Sunday night, I'll be doing a set in French at a mostly French speaking club in Montreal. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel, which I named Spectrum Comedy Productions. I need 50 or 51 some more subscribers so I could change the YouTube URL address and Facebook comedy page also, which is facebook.com/Spectrum Comedy.
And on YouTube, it's called Spectrum Comedy what?
Spectrum Comedy Productions.
Okay, so Spectrum Comedy on Facebook, Spectrum Comedy Productions on YouTube.
In YouTube, yeah.
I'm going to go there and click like to both today, subscribe.
Yeah.
So you guys do that too. Hasn't he been a doll to come and open up his life and be real for you? Because no offense to anybody, but when you see comedians on stage, you just see what they want to project that night. You don't get to know them. And I feel like we got a chance to really get to know Jeffrey Weinstein today. And we love him. We love him even more. I've been on shows before. Now I got to know him. So thank you so much for that, Jeffrey.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. See you back on Zoom, hopefully. And if you ever want me to come and do a spot up in Montreal, I'll fly up there.
Okay.
I got no life. I'll just fly up there. I'll fly up there to do a 10-minute spot.
You're a doll.
Thank you. Love you.
Love
Thank
you.